This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
You're not comfortable yet, are you? I'm talking about when it comes to how you're using AI tools, large language models. Are you finally into your groove? Well, that might actually be bad news, because over the last few weeks and in the next few months, things are going to drastically change. All right. And today's show is part of our ongoing series, but specifically, we're going to be tackling your Complete AI Toolkit, tools, rules, and global changes. So how you approach generative AI in your work is going to change pretty quickly. All right. And I'm excited to talk and continue our ongoing discussion. This is volume 4 of 5 of our 2025 AI predictions as we are laying out the landscape for 2025. All right. I'm excited for this one, y'all. I hope you are too. What's going on? My name's Jordan Wilson. Welcome to Everyday AI. This is for you. It's your daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter, helping us all learn and leverage generative AI to grow our companies and our careers. Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to be the smartest person in your company or your department when it comes to large language models, AI? Well, welcome. This is your home now. Your other home, youreverydayai.com. On there, more than 400 episodes. You can go back no matter what you care about. They all separated by category. Learn from the world's leading experts for free. So maybe this is your first time listening. Thank you. So go sign up for the daily newsletter. We're going to be recapping today's show and everything else that you need to know. But more importantly, we are in the middle, actually now toward the end. This is volume 4 of 5. We've been tackling the biggest AI predictions all week. So you might be wondering, like, why am I doing this? Well, I've talked to hundreds of the world's smartest people. I've interviewed them. I've have offline conversations. Big companies, pay us to train their employees on generative AI. And I'm lucky enough to learn from some of the smartest people. And, sometimes I'm up late at night connecting the dots, right? And putting all these pieces together from hundreds of conversations. And that's where we're at today. So last year, you might be like, all right, this is random. Well, last year is actually kind of on point, right? Even did a mid-year checkup for my crazy bold AI predictions for last year. And essentially they all came true, but they weren't these soft predictions. They were somewhat bold. All right. So that's the good thing about doing this every day. You can go back and check the receipt. So I'm telling you that because I do not make these predictions lightly. I'm trying to lay out the road work. All right. So this is volume 4. So let's very, very quickly recap where we've been so far. So if you've listened to every single one, you can just, 2x for the next minute. I'm going to give you numbers 25 through 10 as we're now knocking on 10 through 5. All right. So you can go back and listen to all of these episodes. Again, this is volume 4. So volume 1, we went over, and I'm going to give you the numbers. 25, agent orchestrators will be a growing position. 24, public companies will post jobs for AI agents. 23, company reasoning data collection. 22, high-end professional services will go through a pricing crisis. 21, UBI becomes a household conversation. Then in volume 2, we went over number 20, open source surges, open large language models will temporarily overtake proprietary models. 19, Chinese AI will dominate and cause confusion. 18, Perplexity will pivot, get acquired, or get squashed. 17, API prices are going to drop like they're hot. 16, embodied AI will be an exploding sector. Then volume 3, we went over number 15. AI video tools will one-shot 5-minute HD videos and advanced personalized media. 14, the future of traditional internet will come into question. 13, social media makes deepfake AI problems way worse. 12, first big copyright case is decided. And 11, AI influencers start killing off human UGC content. All right, so that brings us up. So you can go listen to those episodes. Here we go. Volume 4. No more chit chat. Here's the predictions in the roadmap ahead. Number 10, non-techies will build on-the-fly software. Number 9, reasoner rappers will hit the scene. Number 8, virtual machines will become all the rage again. 7, AI becomes overly political. And number 6, global regulation around the world tightens, just not in the US when it comes to AI regulation. All right. As always, live stream audience been doing this all week. Go ahead. Let me know. What is the most likely one you think is going to come true? You can just give me the number, say 8 most likely or 10 most likely, whatever you think, and then tell me which one is the least likely. Because I want to see, right? I want to see if some of my predictions here as I'm laying out the roadmap for you all ahead is garbage or if it's actually good. So let me know. And without further ado, we're jumping straight into it. I'm also in the theme of this 25 AI predictions, trying to keep all 5 of these shows under 25 minutes, which if you listen a lot, you know, that's really hard for me to do. I don't know. Apparently I talk a lot. All right. Take a sip of the smoothie. Let's go. Number 10, non-techies will build apps on the fly software. All right. So non-technical people, I would consider myself somewhat non-technical, right? Yeah. I've been in and out of web development, sure, but I've always been more of a digital duct tape web developer, if that makes sense, right? I'm not hand coding anything. I know how things work, but I would say, well, maybe I'm a little more on the technical side of the non-technical people, but I'm saying you are going to be building your own software in 2025. It may not be until later in the year. It may be a small little thing. You're going to be doing it because it is so freaking easy and so freaking powerful. All right. I actually had a good chat with the Microsoft GitHub team at the Ignite conference. I'll probably have them on the show soon, and you'll see what I mean. All right, like it's so easy now. So it's anticipated by this year that 70% of new business applications will use no-code technology. All right, we're not even talking low code when it comes to being able to use these AI tools. So just building apps with natural language processing. All right. So being able to talk to these apps, to build apps, or just typing natural text prompts. So you've probably heard of some of these AI tools that help you build AI tools or non-AI tools, right? So GitHub Copilot, Cursor, Windsurfer, Lovable, etc. There's dozens. I probably forgot some popular ones. So yeah, let me know if I'm missing one. I always leave in the show notes, if you're listening on the podcast, I always have my LinkedIn URL there. Just let me know you're from the podcast, because stranger danger, or our email in there. So just the reality. I honestly don't know what the future of the software development industry is, right? I think for the first time in 2024, software development jobs, new software development jobs were down. You had some of the brightest graduates in CS, computer science, widespread. And it's not just like small instances, but you heard widespread cases. Normally people that 5 to 10 years ago would be in the highest demand can't get jobs, right? We saw the story that Salesforce was no longer going to be hiring software engineers, right? So might sound crazy today. In 2 years, when even non-technical people are building apps on the daily, I don't think it's going to be that weird anymore. But that's the way I see it. I've done some of these things for myself already. I started just using Claude Anthropic and then using their artifacts. And there's some of those that I go back and use pretty regularly. But, I've been experimenting a little bit in GitHub Copilot, which, Microsoft made a free version of that. Cursor is obviously fantastic, and being able to work with very powerful models like O1, O1 Pro, right? So that's the other thing. These are essentially IDEs. So if you don't know what that is, don't worry, you're not alone. So IDE is an integrated development environment. So think of that as it's like a software application that helps programmers write code, right? So these are these IDEs, but powered by large language models, where you can just talk and then it just builds you an app. Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and NVIDIA have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So whether you're looking for ChatGPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI. In one shot, and you're like, oh, wow. Put a screenshot of something, or, say, hey, I want a clone of this social media app, and it just works, right? Depends on how your prompting skills are, but you've seen examples of this, and we'll probably do one live here on the show where it's like literally like one prompt. It's wild. All right, next, number 9. This one, I haven't heard anyone else talk about this. Company reasoning data collection. All right, I think we're going to see reasoner wrappers. So I think this is going to be a big focus of the most forward-thinking tech and management consulting companies in 2025. So right now, business decisions and data reasoning, it requires both structured and unstructured data. So we've spent, the big buzzwords of 2023 and 2024 were RAG, right? You got to get your RAG pipeline. You got to get your company's RAG in there, right? But what is that? I mean, is that more helpful? Yes, obviously, when you combine a large language model with your company's data, right? Duh, that makes sense. But okay, you are still at the whim of whoever is steering the vehicle, right? So I think if you've used some of these new reasoner models, right? So essentially, think of it like this: your quote unquote traditional. Large language models, let's just call them the transformer class of models, right? Your GPT, your Gemini, your Claude, etc. Then you have your reasoners. Okay, so these are essentially models that take much longer, more inference time, and require more compute. In general, they're a little more costly. All right, and they do this kind of chain of thought reasoning or thinking while you wait. Right, so. Sometimes I use O1 Pro a lot. I love it. I mean, I get that thing to think for like 10 minutes, right? It's almost like a little agent. I give it a super hard task, leave it there, come back and check on it in 10 minutes. But it's still generic, right? So this same iteration, this same metamorphosis, so to speak, that we went over through the last 2 years when we were essentially, pairing our company's data with the transformer models, we have to do the same thing with these reasoners, right? With these reasoning models, the O1s of the world, O3 when it comes out. Gemini has their flash thinking model. Amazon Nova has a reasoning model as well. So we have to take the same thing, but where RAG pipelines, for the most part, or in many instances, are more structured data, all right? Reasoning is not. This is exciting for me. I think there's going to be a big push of, let's just say, healthcare, right? Think of if there was an O1 model, but the chain of thought or the reasoning was all healthcare related, right? And it always went through kind of that almost like a triage, right? Underneath the hood. But now think of that if it went through your company's decision-making process, right? I don't know how, Don't talk to me on the feasibility of this, but I know it's coming, right? Two types of models, two very different classes. And I mean, technically, it hasn't just been since ChatGPT, right? Because there was RAG pipelines and large language models before ChatGPT, right? So it's not a new sector. It's been around for half a decade or more, or at least popularized for half a decade or more. So we're going to start to see, I think, the first iterations of reasoning wrappers or tying in your first. I like to call it first company data, but on the reasoning side. So it's all about how do your business leaders make decisions? What is that thought tree that maybe isn't, written down? It's going to be a big boon of business in 2025. All right, let's keep going. Number 8. Virtual machines are going to become all the rage again. All right. You might be like, there's no way. Yeah. I think you'd be surprised. I don't think it's also a coincidence. We saw Microsoft release the Windows 365 link. So it's not technically a virtual machine because there is think of, I'm trying to think of the size of something, right? Think of like a Mac Mini, right? But think of like an extremely powerful computer that would normally be like 10 times the size. So, the Windows 365 link, it's essentially a virtual machine, but you have a physical box, right? And then you get to tap into, via the web, the interwebs, you tap into a computer that would be like, in theory, 10 times the size, right? I think we're going to see the same, but just completely virtual. Here's why. Let's talk about Claude's computer use. It's clunky, right? But it uses a virtual machine. Granted, that virtual machine looks like it's from like 1997, but if you use, this is kind of the first popularized agentic AI question mark, right? At least from one of the big either tech companies or the big AI companies. Super clunky, but like I've said on the show before, you got to tip your hat. Tip your hat to Anthropic for actually releasing it. But it was the first kind of taste, the mainstream taste of agentic AI, or when you can tell a large language model, hey, go use the computer, go do all of these different things, go to this website, browse this, then put it in a Word document, then go ahead and make a spreadsheet and save that spreadsheet, right? Stringing together multiple tasks that a computer needs to, that an AI needs to have access to a full working computer. They're coming back. So it's not just Claude's computer use, but Google's Project Mariner requires an active tab. So that previously it was called Google's Jarvis. I told y'all they weren't going to, be able to use that name, the whole Marvel thing. So Project Mariner requires an active Chrome window, right? So that's going to be their first, Google's first agentic AI product. I haven't even seen it released. It was supposed to go out to like tested users or whatever. Who knows if we'll even see it in the first quarter. I'm guessing it's going to be the latter part of 2025. But the same thing, it requires active use of your browser. All right. And then we have, should be released any day now, OpenAI's Operator. Presumably, it's probably going to require a little bit of your current screen or your current ChatGPT account as well. So, I mean, all these things are adding up, right? All of these more agentic workflows, everything's agentic in 2025. All the big companies, Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, Claude, Salesforce, everyone, literally everyone is all in on agentic AI. And so many of these systems, right, they emulate a computer, right? Or you can run them locally, right? There's going to be local models too, but they're going to need your computer. So I think people having virtual machines is going to come back, remote PCs, because you can't really do anything else if you're doing those things, right? I guess luckily this is where my computer hoarding comes into play. I think I have, what do I have? I have 4 Macs and a PC that I use. So maybe that's where that comes in handy for me, I guess. But it's going to be, virtual machines are definitely going to come back. All right, 2 more. Look at this, y'all. We might actually finish an episode in 25 minutes. Let me get a little hydration there. All right, here we go. Yeah, if this is your first time, this whole it's unedited, unscripted. This is just live. All right. Number 7. I'm going to be careful so I don't get any hate mail. All right. From you Elon lovers. But AI is about to become very political. Unfortunately. All right. I already told you one of the reasons right there, Elon Musk. All right. So, former co-founder of OpenAI, now founder of, I don't know, 50 companies, a couple of them losing a lot of money, Twitter. All right. But, XAI. So, technically one of OpenAI's main competitors. So you might be saying like, okay, well, what's getting political? Well, Elon Musk has this pseudo official role in the US government. All right. DOGE, the Department of, I think it's DOGE, not DODGE. My screen here is wrong. I did that wrong. I'm a human. I make mistakes. What do you think I am? A robot? I don't sleep. All right. So the Department of Government Efficiency, which is where, essentially Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump, has, tasked Elon Musk with this unofficial but unofficial government position where he's supposed to go find all the waste in government, right? But he's already throwing his weight around in a way that I would say is extremely inappropriate, right? Because there's just some news stories that came out that he said he is urging attorneys general in multiple states to auction off the nonprofit arm of OpenAI. Can we think about that? So someone who's literally, at least from a public standpoint, right? Trump saying, hey, Elon, come in and make government smaller. Guess who you don't want to piss off? That guy. All right. And if you know Elon Musk, he's all over the place. All right. He went in when he bought Twitter. I forgot, but it seemed like he fired like half of Twitter, right? And also, I think he bought it for $44 billion. And the last numbers I saw is it was worth like, I don't know, $10 billion. Anyways, I'll leave that there. You can do what you want with that. He's urging, literally, government employees to auction off the nonprofit arm of OpenAI in multiple states. I was hoping that the artificial intelligence field would never become a political place, but it's already going there. All right, so Mark Zuckerberg, is already now getting more vocal and a little more political. The New York Times called this Meta's MAGA makeover, as he's been, aligning with President-elect Trump on a lot of recent issues. I think it makes good business sense, right? But I think unfortunately, AI is going to become very political. One other piece, right? You got to add all these things up. So David Sachs, popular venture capitalist, also podcast host, was named the AI czar. But he's been linked to some controversial opinions in the past. Been linked to some, allegedly linked to some Russian propaganda and other past controversial statements. So if you thought the world was already political and AI, artificial intelligence and large language models, if you thought that was your safe place, here in the US, things get very political, right? If you thought AI was the safe space, you can escape from all the political nonsense. Nope. Looks like it's going to ramp up. And I predict it is going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly. All right. So we'll see how that actually pans out, but book it. Book it. AI is political. I'm not happy about it. I don't want that to happen. I thought we were just great in, the last 2 years, right? AI is super innovative. It seems like the outgoing Biden White House, they had, some their executive order, but it's not like they're overly restrictive in artificial intelligence. So, but it looks like we're making a shift. We'll say that. It looks like some of the leaders in the AI space are going to be cozying up to those in positions of governmental power, and looks like they're going to be throwing around some weight. All right. And then our last AI prediction as we lay out upcoming trends of 2025, global regulation around AI titans. It's not in the US, not at all. All right. So we already know the EU Act has introduced some pretty harsh regulations, classifying certain AI applications as high risk and imposing fines for non-compliance. Yeah. So a lot of these, AI innovations and these new, large language model features from various companies, businesses in the EU can't even use a lot of them, right? Similarly, some countries like Canada, Singapore, Australia, etc., have also initiated their own AI accountability laws. Not all of them have gone into effect yet, but it's going to, I think, drive a further divide. Okay, so the EU's, I believe some of it, the EU AI Act, some of it came into effect in about 6 months ago, and then the rest is going to come into effect in about a year and a half. But regardless, I think there's going to start to be some pretty strict rules and regulations around artificial intelligence. Here's why. The talk as of recently has been all about artificial general intelligence, and it's been all about actually super intelligence, right? That's what happens next, right? It goes, AI, and then it goes AGI, and then it goes ASI. And as that global conversation starts to shift, more and more people are going to become worried about their jobs, right? Which means I think a lot of countries that want to be a little more conservative, that want to roll AI out at a little slower pace, I think we're going to see a couple things happen. I think that some of these countries are going to start to lose some of their global positioning when it comes to, hey, is this country a global superpower anymore? I think, it's not like a company is going to go from a tier 1 to a tier 5, but I think if you are too strict and too restrictive on AI and not allowing the big enterprises in your company to use and fully use them, you're going to see one of two things. Either those companies are going to leave, like we're out, right? Or going to bring in less money. You can't compete. You literally can't compete, right? I wish I had a better analogy, right? But think of race cars, right? I don't follow NASCAR or Formula One, but think of the very first cars, right? Like, I don't know, 50, 100 years ago, however long that's been around. And then look at them now. They're probably more than twice as fast, all the technology, so much safer, right? That's the difference, right? Between enterprise companies being able to fully use and fully leverage artificial intelligence versus those that can't. You're driving in an old Formula One car that goes as fast as my 2008 Honda Civic Hybrid. It's slow. So you're going to see a great divide there. All right. We made it to the end. All right. And obviously, y'all, I saved the best for last. You know it. My spiciest AI predictions and trends for you to get ahead in 2025 are coming tomorrow. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Make sure if you haven't already, go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for the free daily newsletter. We're going to be recapping all of these hot take predictions, as well as links to the previous 4 volumes. All right. That was volume 4. We're going to have links to volume 1, 2, and 3. You can find that in the podcast as well. If you are listening on the podcast, I hope this is helpful for you. We bust our collective butts here at Everyday AI to make sure you are the smartest person in your company, in your department around AI. And these predictions, they're more than that. They are trends. They are laying the groundwork for you and your company to succeed. That's why you got to subscribe. Please leave us a rating, and please join us tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.